Welcome to the sanctuary. I'm Kyle, and I'm here to tell you, never be afraid to step into the pleasure den of the absurd. Now, if you're a faithful viewer of this channel, which I don't think there's too many of, you would know that I was promoting some upcoming videos just last week, a couple weeks ago, doing these community posts. And I did one on Triumph the Insult Comic Dog and his first convention appearance and other related topics. You know, there's always synergy to this stuff. You know, there's always more to say about a particular specific topic at hand because it all has this energy around it and other things going on. So you just have to point it out every once in a while. So anyway, one of the posts I was teasing had to do with Andy Kaufman. Now, Andy Kaufman on March 31st, 2023 was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And Jerry Lawler and Jimmy Hart did introductions, and Andy's siblings were there. And so I thought it was a good time to do an appreciation for Andy Kaufman, because this sort of segues into a topic that will be sort of maybe like a feature of this channel. I already have Jewels of the Collection, which is items that to me, you know, I'm very proud of. You know, they stand out, and I'm very happy to have them and enjoy them. And so I was thinking about doing a various videos about things. It's hard to explain. I'll just say it like this, the way I originally thought of it. Videos that I put on when I need a little emotional boost. You know, when you're down and out in these morbid and sordid times, you know, there are things that, regardless of how much they weigh you down, you pop in one of these DVDs and, you know, it shakes away the blues. And I have several of these things, and one of them just happens to be this documentary about Andy Kaufman. It's called I'm From Hollywood. Now, notice this is presented by Johnny Legend and his sister, labeled here as Linny Legend. She's the one that made this documentary. And this always makes me laugh. And what it is it's all about Andy's entrance into the world of professional wrestling. Before Andy got involved with professional wrestling, which is why he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, he, I don't know what you'd call it, because he was like so much more than a comedian, you know. He never really thought of himself as a comedian per se, or he was telling jokes and stuff like that. I mean, he did, but he was like, you know, more of a performance artist that went, you know, would stretch the limits of comedy and art performance, and, you know, it all blended together because he was just such a odd personality, you know. So he used to wrestle women as part of his like stage act. And he would just pull, random women out of the audience. I mean, it was no lie. I mean, he may have had, like maybe Lynn may have been part of the act, or other friends of his, but generally, yeah, he pulled strangers out and would wrestle them, and he always won. So he, as part of being always admiring wrestlers and wanting in on the act, he portrayed himself as what they call a heel, or somebody the audience would boo, boo, and he would make insulting comments to the women, like, get back to the kitchen and scrub the carrots and the potatoes, and this kind of thing. And he made a little belt for himself, intergender champion, something like that. But that was his shtick, for lack of a better word. He wrestled women. And then he got involved with the Memphis wrestling circuit, and the one of the premier wrestlers at that time in that territory was Jerry Lawler. And you may have heard or know about the famous incident where, this went on for, I don't know, a year or two. It was quite a while, where there was this rivalry between Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler. And, they were getting other wrestlers involved and all this and that. And the storyline was pretty elaborate. But it was mainly like Andy Kaufman wanting to get revenge on Jerry Lawler for trying to prevent him or stop him from wrestling. And the two of them did meet in the ring, Jerry Lawler and Kaufman. And I gotta say this, I love Kaufman's wrestling outfit. It was just a long johns and like swimming trunks, with like wrestling boots. It was hilarious. And Kaufman played it to a T. I mean, he was a heel. He had them Southern wrestling fans just hating his guts. And it was great. And this documentary highlights all the stuff. I mean, it's just so funny. So anyway, the most famous aspect of this feud was the two of them after they had their match. Andy was, forced to wear a neck brace out in public and everything, for his neck to heal. And, the two of them showed up on David Letterman's late night talk show program. Now that program started it aired at 12:30 a.m. on Channel 4 in the New York area. And me and my older brother were pro wrestling fans at the time. We were watching what was WWE, used to be called the WWF, World Wrestling Federation. And so my dad worked a second shift, which he would get off of work at midnight. And he only worked, down the road. So he would usually walk in the door like, 5 or 10 minutes after midnight. And he let us stay up late. It was a school night. Maybe it wasn't. I mean, if it was in the summertime, but I do think it was a school night, now that I think about it. But in any case, we were excited that he let us see these guys on the Letterman show. And this is the appearance where it just devolved into total chaos. Lawler got up, slapped Kaufman, knocked him off his chair. He grabbed Letterman's coffee, threw it at Lawler, and just went on a tirade of expletives. Beep, 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 beep. And you, beep, 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 beep. I mean, Kaufman just yelling at him like from the sidelines and everything. And it was like pandemonium. And that's kind of like one of the things that Kaufman was also known for, was getting people on edge. I mean, if you see the movie Man on the Moon, I know they recreated this incident in that movie where he was on the sketch comedy show Fridays, and Michael Richards, who would later be on Seinfeld, was the only one in on what Andy was going to do, and he pretty much veered off the script. And it devolved into like this huge melee where cameramen were like getting involved, like, like you ruined it, and like, just go look it up on YouTube. But in any case, this DVD here, the name Lenny Legend, well, you may know her real name as Lynn Margulies, and she is the sister of Johnny Legend, who put out this special edition. I don't know if you guys have seen this, because it was released in the early DVD days by Rhino, and it's one of these. I mean, look at the case. It's one of these. And it comes with the great mockumentary, My Breakfast with Blassie. So these are two must-haves. But I'm From Hollywood is, without a doubt, my favorite of the two. So anyway, and then look at this too. It's one of these discs that is double-sided. So outside of this one on Rhino, Johnny Legend put out both of them in special editions, and they are really good. So anyway, back to I'm From Hollywood, because I don't know if you can read that, but it documents Gonzo performance artist Andy Kaufman's hilarious introduction into the world of big-time professional wrestling. This fascinating documentary follows Kaufman as he doggedly pursues Lawler, taunting him on television, threatening lawsuits, and hiring wrestling thugs, all in his bizarre and hysterically funny quest to put Lawler out of commission. And also included in this documentary, interspersed with all that video footage, interviews include Kaufman's Taxi co-stars, Mary Lou Henner, Tony Danza, friend Bob Zmuda, legendary wrestling commentator Lance Russell, and Jerry Lawler himself, all of whom speculate on whether it was all an act or if Kaufman had truly lost his mind. This DVD is presented with long missing footage, which has never been included on DVD. So it has more stuff than the Rhino one, and that makes it extra special. So included on this special edition, it has audio commentary with director Lynn Margulies and Kaufman's best friend and writer Bob Zmuda. Bob Zmuda would often be the referee when when Andy was wrestling women, as part of his act. Zmuda would, he was Andy's right-hand man, his stooge, his sometimes stand-in, as Tony Clifton, but So you get, here's one of the interesting things about it. Now, they do in this documentary, she does get comments from the locals, in Memphis, and fans of Jerry Lawler, expressing their outrage with Kaufman, and how much they hate him and stuff like that. So on this disc, it says, "Dear Andy Kaufman, I hate your guts." Part of the extras, it's letters from women challenging Kaufman to wrestle. And again, this was put out on Johnny Legend's Legend House DVD company, which I think is defunct. But this documentary is definitely one that I may have to watch it tonight. But current events really got me sullen, for lack of a better word. But just talking about this disc is making me forget all about that. And here is the special edition that Johnny Legend put out of My Breakfast with Blassie. Now, so in the Hollywood biopic Man on the Moon, where Jim Carrey played Andy Kaufman, Courtney Love portrays Lynn Margulies, who was Andy's, partner for the last few years of his life. And he met her on camera as a stranger in this film, My Breakfast with Blassie. The director of My Breakfast with Blassie was Linda Lautrec. And so the idea of this film is Kaufman and Blassie kind of doing a mockumentary, a parody of the art house film My Dinner with Andre, which apparently was just two guys eating dinner and having conversations, and they filmed it, and it, was, won all these awards, and, was a highbrow entertainment, of the early 80s. So they, Johnny Legend and his wife, Linda Lautrec, decided to make this great movie because Fred Blassie is very colorful on his own, and having him team up with Andy was just genius. And so they're at this, LA diner, and opposite them is, in camera shot, is a table full of women, like 5 women. And one of them is Linda Lautrec, the director, and her friend, Lynn Margulies, who's Johnny Legend's sister. And, Johnny Legend and Linda Lautrec made this film, and it's great. They talk about Lawler's injury and, his intentions of, trying to wrestle guys like Lawler, stop wrestling women, and that kind of thing, amongst a host of other topics. And it's enjoyable. And with this special commemorative edition, you get let's see, it says legendary graffiti home movies, lost footage, Andy in the Raw, Blassie graffiti bonus footage, the making of My Breakfast with Blassie, and the film premiere footage, which I do believe was the last public appearance of Andy Kaufman. They premiere this film at the New Beverly Theater, I believe it was, in LA. And, you know, oh gee, his name escapes me now. He was the director of Groundhog Day. He was in Stripes with Bill Murray. He's there, you know, a bunch of other people are there. There's a guy in a wrestling outfit and heckling people in the crowd. You know, it's fun. It's fun. And so, you know, two great videos. You know, it used to be from Rhino. Johnny Legend put them out. And since, you know, this channel is kind of show and tell, and this video is kind of like a tribute to Andy Kaufman, I have these two discs that were put out by 5 Minutes to Live, which is now defunct. And I don't know how many volumes there were of, you know, this stuff, but I've got these two, which is volume 2 and 4. Now, I watched this one just last week, very recently. And I hadn't watched it in a long, long time. And again, it just made me like, wow. It made me so happy to watch this. I'm like, look at this, man. It was entertaining. It made me laugh. You know, yes, made me nostalgic. Because you have to remember too, you know, before that appearance of Lawler and Kaufman on Letterman, you know, Andy Kaufman was a big deal. And like, I remember seeing him advertised in the papers, and people would talk about it. Andy Kaufman's going to be on Saturday Night Live. You know, like, whoa, you know, what's going to happen, you know, and he was on Carson, and he did some specials of his own. So, and, you know, plus he was on Taxi, and, you know, he was always he was just living his life, man, like only he could. And so anyway, getting back to this disc, I was watching this, and it's basically all different clips of Andy Kaufman, and a lot of it has to do with his wrestling persona, intergender champion. But this first clip on here is from David Letterman, and you can find this clip on YouTube. They're promoting My Breakfast with Blassie. And, you know, Letterman first talks to Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman introduces Fred Blassie. He comes out. They come back from a commercial break, and Dave Letterman introduces Blassie to sort of give, you know, the viewers, you know, a little history of who Blassie is, you know. And he was a famous wrestler, known for his viciousness, and, you know, he was a heel. And once he retired from active wrestling, he became a manager. And so me and my brother, when we were watching WWF on Channel 9, WRTV, you know, at like, I don't know, I think that started at midnight on Saturday night, and we would watch it with my dad. And, you know, Fred Blassie was one of the managers that would come out, and he had this big booming voice, and very colorful, and, you know, manicured and nice hair, and, you know, fancy clothes. And there was other managers there too that had their own kind of color, you know, the Grand Wizard and Captain Lou Albano, those days, the early 80s, 1980, that kind of a thing. I stopped watching it pretty much before WrestleMania 1 started. Once they started getting involved with Cyndi Lauper and stuff, I kind of stopped watching. But Andy Kaufman was a big deal, and this disc in particular, the one thing that really stands out was a Playboy Channel special. Andy wrestles Playboy Playmate of the Year, Susan Smith, in a ring. People are watching, and she was good sport. I mean, let's put it this way. If you know anything about wrestling, especially with somebody like Andy Kaufman doing it, you got to work things out beforehand. But she was, at one point, they had a celebrity wrestler, Larry Sharp, as the referee. And at one point in that match, she had Kaufman pinned to the mat, but the ref was distracted by Bob Zamuda. And, by that time, Andy turned the tables and he beat her. He's another wrestling challenge on Saturday Night Live. If he was defeated by a woman, he would give her cash money and shave his head bald right there on air. He's introduced by Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, who was a very famous wrestler like in the 50s and 60s. And, so this is like late 70s, early 80s. It's just, this has just different stuff. Playboy Channel performance. Andy sings kids songs. He's on the Midnight Special. He introduces Slim Whitman. He's on David Letterman. Oh, this is Bob Zamuda as Tony Clifton. And another clip with Andy being weird and strange on Letterman. But I want to say one last thing about Andy Kaufman. I used to work in a record store in the early 90s. And at that time, the artist Laurie Anderson had just released a new CD. And I think it was called The Ugly One with the Jewels. And it was, spoken word stories with her performing music live. I think she might have written a book or biography, of her storied life and colorful life. And anyway, we had a promotional copy of that disc and played it in the store. And I was surprised to hear her have a track about her and her adventures with Andy Kaufman. Listen to that truck. So it's called The Roto Whirl. And if you can find it online, I suggest you listen to it, because her delivery is very much of a Laurie Anderson type delivery. If you want to see what she's about. But if you know what she's about and are interested in her talking about Andy Kaufman, go listen to The Roto Whirl from The Ugly One with the Jewels. It's really funny. She talks about, being like Andy's stooge and, sometimes being wrestling him. And she's like, Andy really fought, and heckling him, and because he wanted her to, it was all part of his act. The other people, would be like, wow, well, what's going on, but Andy always had somebody in on it, so she tells these humorous anecdotes about being with Andy and stunts that he would pull to get a reaction out of people, like on an airplane or, the carnival rides and things like that. It's funny. And I mean, I admire Andy Kaufman. He was a unique artist, and I'm glad that he's not forgotten. And like I say, he just got inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame a few days ago, and like I say, this go find this. I'm from Hollywood, Andy Kaufman. Lynn Margulis's great documentary on Andy Kaufman's feud with Jerry Lawler. It always puts a smile on my face and makes me feel real good. And, we need a lot of that nowadays. So with that, I want to thank you for visiting me again here in the sanctuary. Got more videos coming on the way. Keep an eye out for my community posts. I got polls that I'd like you to check out, answer. Let's get a dialogue going, talking about music. Because on this channel, we talk about all kinds of stuff. All the stuff that makes life worth living. Music, movies, books, all kinds of stuff. And so, I try and be a little different, but I hope that, there's other people who like what I do and ramble on about and that kind of thing. So I'm glad somebody's watching. And if you could, leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. And, if you like it, click that like button, that thumbs up. And if you really like it, you can subscribe and, get notified whenever I post a new video. But either way, the videos are up there. I'm just throwing it out there, doing it, throwing it out, and eventually somebody will stumble on it, and we'll see what we get out of that. So in any case, again, thank you for watching. Look at the note information in the notification of this video to see my emails. If you'd like to donate via PayPal, my email is there. And if you want to correspond, you can do that too. And I think I'll try and put a video of the Roto Whirl so you can hear Laurie Anderson talking. I'll always try and do a reference link to something I was talking about in my video, so that providing some context. So with that, you're always welcome here in the sanctuary. Never be afraid. Step into the pleasure den of the absurd.